Because if they're thinking it's 2 or 3 years, then yes, they should go ahead and maybe consider drafting that guy. I know that the New England Patriots have consistently drafted guys, even though Brady's career has continued. You know, you think to Ryan Mallett, who was a 3rd-round pick, now Jimmy Garoppolo, who's a 2nd-round pick. And I'm sure if Garoppolo moves somewhere else in the off-season, then they'll continue to spend early picks just in case they have to quickly replace Brady. But yeah, it's something they certainly have to consider. The big issue that I have with the Giants, fellas, at the moment is there just isn't any balance to their offense. I mean, look at the way they ran the ball today. Jennings came back, and his average per carry today was 1.9 yards. And Perkins, the rookie from UCLA, 4 carries for 12 yards. They're just putting everything on Eli Manning and Odell Beckham and Victor Cruz and Sterling Shepard, who's a really good young receiver there from Oklahoma, who's a rookie. But if you can't run the ball, and this is the problem the Rams are having as well, they're not balanced. They can't get Todd Gurley going because teams don't respect the pass. But watching today, I mean, it's all on the passing game. And this system has been in place in New York now for a couple of years, and watching it, I've just got this really bad feeling that teams have kind of worked it out a little bit, that it's become a little bit predictable. And because they can't run the ball, you know, the routes that Eli's throwing, and they've found a way to maybe just manage Odell Beckham a little bit more, I think it's becoming real tough sledding for New York because they can't run the ball.
I don't know what you think, but I think one real key factor to that New York Giants offense and why Eli had the season that he did last year, when you look at him statistically last year, and he had a fantastic season, a career season, you could argue. But I think one real factor is the injury to Shane Vereen. You know, he gives you so many different options. He's a brilliant pass catcher out of the backfield, and he's a brilliant outlet because for Eli Manning. You've seen Eli Manning go through his progressions, and he's looking and he checks down very, very quickly. And at the moment, that Vereen-type player is not there for him, and he looks a little lost without him. They have had injuries at running back, and so they can't get anything going at the moment. But to draft an heir apparent, I think, is not a bad call for the New York Giants. They really don't.
I mean, Green Bay did it at a very interesting time because they almost thought Brett Favre was giving away signals, and he did, publicly and I'm sure privately, that maybe he'd had enough football. Maybe he'd accomplished everything he was going to, and the concept, as we remember, gentlemen, of him playing for another team at a certain point in time was blasphemy. That was just never going to happen. Then he plays 1 year with the Jets, 2 years with the Vikings, and the show gets turned over to Aaron Rodgers. But it's when you don't make that preparation, and I'm not sure Miami did a great job doing it with Dan Marino. I know Buffalo didn't do it with Jim Kelly. It's hard to go from, you know, Favre to Rodgers or Peyton Manning to Andrew Luck. You need every break in the book. That quarterback has to be available in the draft, and you have to time it the right way. And it's really hard for some organizations, obviously, to do it.
And just a quick point, Eli Manning is 35 years old, but his contract expires in 2020. His cap hit is going to be, well, it's nearly $25 million this year. And it's 19 and 22 and then 23 to end his career. That is a lot of money to be paying a quarterback who maybe is heading towards the twilight of his career. So at age 35, with another 3 years to go after this one on his contract, maybe now is the time start thinking about that first, second, third round, who is going to be available. Unfortunately, fellas, this isn't the greatest year for quarterbacks. You know, apart from maybe 1 or 2 at the top end, there isn't going to be a great deal of depth. There's not going to be that value in round 2 and round 3 at the quarterback position.
Okay, Buffalo's extended their... Oh, sorry, Charles, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, we were talking about Cody Kessler earlier on, but unfortunately he's left the game because of concussion, and the woes of Browns quarterbacks continue at the moment. So Kevin Hogan is in for the Cleveland Browns, and they've got to try and overcome a deficit in Cincinnati.
Yeah, and Kevin Hogan, I was just going to mention, you read my mind, a 28-yard touchdown run in that game. That was the Browns' most recent score, although Cincinnati scored since then to extend the lead to 31-17. Kevin Hogan's 28-yard touchdown run, according to ESPN, the longest ever by a quarterback in Browns team history, which I find remarkable. Not that Bernie Kosar could beat any of us to the down to the news agents, you know, foot race. He'd need a black cab, I think, to pull it off, or an Uber cab. But either way, they have had some slow-footed quarterbacks. I'm just astonished that in nearly 100 years, no quarterbacks run it into the end zone for longer than 28 yards. But that distinction belongs to Kevin Hogan right now. Lots more score updates coming up. We can tell you Buffalo actually has added to their lead 17-6 now over the Dolphins in Miami. Still, what a surprise. You have to give them credit. They started 0-2. They're about to get to 5-2. with a 5-game win streak. Marquise Goodwin, a 67-yard touchdown pass from Tyrod Taylor, with Dan Carpenter, the former Dolphin, making the extra point. So it's a 17-6 lead. The Dolphins have the ball back. But the only good thing for the Dolphins today is the old 70s style uniform. So that'll remind folks my age that they were once a proud franchise, wearing the older, less aqua uniform, a little darker aqua, if you will. Mike White, our friend and colleague, caught up with a couple New York Giants after the Giants' victory at Twickenham Stadium earlier today. One such player didn't have a great day on the ground. Their running back, Rashad Jennings, had 25 yards on 13 carries, but he had a pretty key touchdown at a pretty key time. Mike talked to him in the Giants locker room at Twickenham after the 17-10 victory.
Well, let's talk to the man who scored the deciding touchdown in the end, Rashad Jennings. Rashad, how good did that feel to get a decisive score after all of that over those 4 goals?
So good, man. So really, really good to get that touchdown. And the way we did it, capitalizing on some of the plays that we had during that series. Having 3 straight runs at the goal line, it's an attitude that takes on when offensive coordinator is putting the on it. One call at the goal line, and the offensive line was out. Gave room, and we did it.
The running game be confident in this game.
We knew it was going to be tough. We knew that. Why? Because that's a good defensive front. They got a good 4 defensive line. Run back, and that umbrella by a good second. So we knew it was going to be a 440 game. We knew it was going to be ugly yards, and we were able to. I thought it was a pretty good job overall protecting the quarterback. The defense, hats off to them for putting us about it since the win. And our special teams came up big against a great returner.
I'll talk about the defense in a second, but was that part of the plan? You knew you'd have to be maybe patient in this one and chip away and wait for that opportunity?
Absolutely. We knew it. We knew this, this is going to be a back and forth kind of game. Just looking at the defense, and we're just going to have to find ways to capitalize on what we do well, find a little holes and little loopholes in the defense. I thought we did start off well, but we was able to move the ball and be efficient throughout the game.
Talks about Odell Beckham Jr. being the highlight reel on this team, but Landon Collins provided one of his own, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. And that's a good feeling to see when you feel when have an opportunity to be successful, especially practicing so hard. Now, we see that type of talent every single day on the practice field. For it to actually happen in the game here in London, so that paid a big dividend to the game. I was excited to see it.
We know the expectation is that every week is a big one, but given the potential for all 3 now coming into the bye week, how significant?
It's huge. Now we're over 500. We're going to bye week. Everybody's healthy. And we come back right into the division. It's going to be another big game at home. So we got a couple teams at home in a row, but when we're able to travel, really, really travel, and capture a win on the road, come back home with a victory, going into the bye week. Momentum is a real thing. I think we're going to be able to make
What's the genuine feeling about traveling to London for a game like that?
I've been looking forward to it for a year. It's my 8th year in the league. I know over here. I've never left the country. It's been an experience. Some of the culture. It's funny. I was saying earlier that talking with some of the locals, they want to hear me talk. It's always been opposite for me. So, learning some of the history here, seeing some of the well-known spots, and being a tourist, I love it. And the country has so much to offer, and the fans here were fabulous. It made us feel like we were at home. So, it was a big plus being able to do that in the NFL provides us a special game that we play, and I don't take it for granted. And now going home with the victory, it's going to mean a lot to be able to tell my kids today that I don't have now, but one day, that not only that I play on Twickenham Stadium, I actually scored a touchdown.
That's Rashad Jennings, along with Mike White, did get the deciding touchdown. Just a 25-yard day on the ground. The Giants go to 4-3. The Rams fall to 3-4. And as he noted, the bye week comes up next week. In Week 9, Giants-Eagles, what a big game that is in East Rutherford, New Jersey. Giants home game there. And the Rams will be home to Cam Newton, we think, and the Carolina Panthers, who've been the surprisingly down team this season among all squads. And Rob, interesting there, the bye week